You know, we're all taught that loyalty means you stick around, right? That love means you endure the tough times together. But what if that's not always true? What if in some of the most messed up family situations, the most loving, the most helpful thing you could possibly do is to just walk away? Okay, let's dive into this really challenging idea.
It just sounds wrong, doesn't it? I mean, it goes against pretty much everything we've ever been told about family and responsibility. But, as we're about to see, the philosophy we're looking at today suggests this very question holds the key to solving what feels like an impossible problem.
So let's explore this painful paradox. It's built on a really tough concept. What if you are the problem? What if your very presence, all your good intentions, are actually what's fueling the fire of your family's crisis?
Just picture this for a second. A family that's just caught in this endless downward spiral. Maybe their debts piling up, constant fighting, just this feeling of complete hopelessness. And there you are, stuck right in the middle, trying to be the good kid, trying to fix everything. But no matter what you do, nothing gets better. In fact, it feels like you're all just sinking together.
And this is the shocking claim right at the heart of this whole idea. It is because you are there that these things are happening. Wow. It suggests that you're not just a victim of the family's problems, you've somehow, unknowingly, become the very center of the storm.
So this whole phenomenon actually has a name, the law of the great nature. Think of it like this. In certain really dysfunctional families, one person, and it's often the child who's trying the hardest to help, becomes a kind of lightning rod. For all the bad luck, all the negative energy, your presence, your pain, it all just feeds this destructive cycle. And as long as you're there, that cycle can never, ever be broken. Okay, so if stating is the problem, then what in the world is the solution? Well, this brings us to the next part of this philosophy, the law of escape. And believe me, it is every bit as radical as it sounds.
The answer here isn't to just grit your teeth and suffer for the sake of loyalty. Nope. The answer is a strategic, calculated escape. The person who has become that focal point has to physically get out of there. Completely.
So let's look at the two paths this lays out. Staying, well, that means shared, endless suffering. Everyone just stays a patient in a sick system, and the downward spiral keeps going. But leaving? That creates a totally different future. The family situation actually stabilizes, you get to pour all your energy into your own success, and this is the most important part, you can come back later not as another patient, but as the healer. But hold on, this isn't about just packing a bag in a fit of anger and storming out. That's just abandoning them. This law of escape has very, very strict rules, conditions that have to be followed for this whole thing to work. This is a disciplined strategy, not some emotional outburst.
Okay, let's break down these rules. First, you have to leave in secret. Why? Because if they know you're going, they'll do everything they can to stop you, to pull you right back into that mess. Second, and this is the really hard one, you have to temporarily forget them. Seriously, this isn't about being cruel, it's about pure emotional survival and focus. Third, you pour every single ounce of your energy into your own success. That becomes your one and only mission. And finally, number 4, you do not go back until you've done it. You have to return from a position of strength, not weakness.
So, if you manage to follow these incredibly difficult rules, what happens? Well, this leads to the final act in this whole drama, the triumphant return. You don't just come back, you come back completely transformed. See, a really strange thing happens after you leave. The family doesn't just fall apart. Instead, the chaos kind of subsides. Without you there as the lightning rod, that intense negative energy just dissipates, and things find a new, stable balance. The constant crisis mode actually stops. And what about their reaction? You'd think they'd be furious, right? Resentful that you left? Nope. The claim is, when you finally come back, years later, and you're successful, they won't be angry at all. They'll be so happy they could die. Your success becomes their victory, their salvation. All is forgiven.
And this is really the key to the whole thing. You don't come back to say you're sorry for leaving, you come back as the solution. You now have the money, the stability, the strength to actually solve the problems, to pay off the debts, to provide real help, to heal the wounds you never could have fixed when you were trapped in the middle of it all. You had to leave to become the savior. All right, so what about a situation that's, a little less extreme? This same basic idea, leaving to ultimately help more, can also apply to things like ambition and family sacrifice. Let's see how this works in a different context.
So imagine a student with a huge dream, right? Maybe they want to study abroad or go to some top-tier university. The catch? It costs a fortune, and it would mean a massive sacrifice from their family, maybe even something as drastic as selling the family home. How can you even ask for that? Isn't that just selfish?
Well, according to this philosophy, you can justify that kind of sacrifice, but you have to earn it. The child can't just throw a tantrum and demand it. They have to prove they are a worthy investment. They have to persuade with a logical, compelling vision for the future, not with tears. They have to show a rock-solid plan for how this sacrifice will eventually lift up the entire family.
And here's the bottom line. If that student's plan, if their vision isn't strong enough to move their parents' hearts using pure logic and reason, then they haven't earned the right to ask for that sacrifice, period. The potential payoff just isn't clear enough. The burden of proof is on the child.
Which leaves us with this final, really powerful question. We're always taught that being responsible means sacrificing for other people. But what if, in certain key moments, the most responsible, the most loving thing you can do is to be radically, unapologetically selfish? To focus only on your own strength, your own success, so that one day you can come back with the real power to help. It's a challenging thought for sure, and definitely one worth thinking about.